Hello, hello, lovely people. Welcome into That Sounds Gay. My name is Jer, and I will be your podcast host for a short period of time. I am so excited because I've got one of my really good friends that I've been friends with for such a long time, many, many, many years, that is going to be joining me and going to be on several episodes going forward. I'm super excited for you to get to know her and for our dynamic together because we always find ways of making each other laugh. She's someone who really taught me to be very comfortable with who I am, and I love that about who she is as a person, is that she just allows me and has allowed me to just be myself in a way that not a lot of people have been able to do so. We have we've had so many episodes we've already recorded, but I'm excited. I can't wait for y'all to get to meet her. But I hope y'all are doing well. I know that we just had the 4th of July, and Jake and I decided, in light of everything, not that we really celebrate the 4th of July anyway, but we decided that we were going to change it to Jenny Coolidge Day, and we ate hot dogs so that it was not celebrating America, but we're celebrating an American icon, Jennifer Coolidge, who is just like so fabulous and has such a huge history of body of work. But that is one of those iconic lines that, God, you look like the 4th of July. Makes me want a hot dog real bad. It's such an iconic moment in her career that I think a lot of people are very aware of, and it's always that. It's always a God makes me want a hot dog. Like every single person that does a Jennifer Coolidge will do the God every time, and I love that. I'm here for it. I'm here for the gag. But let's talk about what sounds gay this week. On the 3rd, which was this week, my husband and I usually call him my partner, celebrated 9 years married today, or as of that day, and 12 years together. 12 years? I can't do math. We got together in 2011, and this is somebody who I knew really early on, probably our first date, if I'm being honest. I kind of had a feeling right then and there. I was like, this is someone I want to spend my entire life with. And they sort of say that sometimes when you find that person that you align with, your body knows, your soul knows, your being knows. And I used to be really hypercritical of people that I knew that would meet someone and they'd be like, "You're my person," and they just knew before anything else had happened. It was just that was the one for them. And I used to be hypercritical of those people, and I thought that's not the tea, Christine. There's no way that you just know when you meet that person. But it's true. It really is true. And I feel like there are not a lot of really long term queer couples that I know that have been together this long. And I know a handful of lesbian couples that have been around with each other for a long time, have been with each other for a really long time. You know, I know a handful of AMAB people who have been together for a long time, but there's not tons. And I don't know what that is, that it seems so hard for especially AMAB people, gay AMAB people, to find people that they are, one, attracted to, two, can stand to be around, and three, can be with them long term. That is not something that I see terribly often. And I have some theories on why I think that happens. None of them are super relevant to right now, but I feel like it's just not the most common thing, so there's not a lot of representation that you can look forward to. And there's not a lot of people that you can really look at and say, I want to model my relationship after them. In my life, when I was younger and even till now, I know a lot of straight heterosexual couples that have been together decades. That's very, very common, right? Most of our parents are still together and have been for a very long time. Probably grandparents are still together. You see that very commonly in heteronormative culture. And it's not super common in queer culture. Someone recently said to me, maybe it was Colwell during our conversation about sex, is that as sort of repressed people, there haven't always been a lot of examples because we've just not really had the opportunity to be together in the ways that heteronormative couples have. And I do think that that does play in. I mean, marriage wasn't even legalized in the United States until very recently. Couples that were together for long term were ones that survived the AIDS crisis, which not a lot of queer men in particular survived that. Our community was very much harmed in the 80s because of that, and we just don't have a massive population of it. So the amount of elders that we can sort of model ourselves after, not really that big or that great, because there just has not been enough time for that. So it's so hard to parse out what is something that is normal in a relationship that I should be doing, and what's something that is heteronormative. And I've been sort of, for the last, decade, breaking these down of things that I learned from my parents, things that I learned from other couples, things that I learned from long-term, relationships that I've seen other people get into, things like that, and trying to figure out what of that are things that straight people just sort of accept, that they're sort of just okay with, that they're fine with doing. And I say this with all the respect in the world because I do really respect my straight counterparts who are respectful of me. But I find oftentimes in many straight relationships that sometimes there's this idea that you gotta just settle because there's somebody that's just good enough, for the time. They maybe could have done better, but it would have taken a lot longer to find someone, and they didn't want to waste time. They wanted to get their biological clock going because they were feeling sexually active and they wanted to start exploring that. And they didn't explore those sexual urges before because it's just not done in heteronormativity. You wait until you're married. You wait until that wedding night, and then you get disappointed by your husband finishing way too quick and not being big enough and not making you finish and then rolling over and going to bed. And then you start this life and you've got these kids, and maybe you're not too happy, but you just accept all the bad stuff, and your partner's not that great for you. They're not really a partner. They're just some guy or some girl that you live with. And you just accept that because, well, what else are you supposed to do? You can't get divorced. I mean, you can, but then you're a pariah. You know what I mean? There's all these things that sort of get doled out, I think, for a lot of our straight counterparts. So it's tough to figure out what of that is normal. Is life too short to just settle for whoever's good enough? Shouldn't you theoretically wait for the best opportunity? If you want to have sex, have sex. If you want to have certain things in your relationship, bring those up. And if that person isn't willing to do that, then find someone who is, who you are both compatible with each other. And I don't know if we see that enough, where there are not enough people that sort of represent the idealized version of what queer love looks like. I don't know if we want to necessarily model our life after heteronormativity. We can, and I think it's possible. I know a lot of people who really desire that. That's what they want more than anything. They want heteronormativity. They want the spouse and the white wedding and the kids and a dog and the house and the white picket fence and the ideal job. They want all these mile markers that straight counterparts get. They don't necessarily want to pave a new path. But I think that's what's so cool about being queer is that we don't have to follow the norm, the regular old humdrum that many of our parents just sort of did. So for us, obviously we've had our share of things that we've had to work through, and it's not that it's hard to ask his parents in particular. I call them my family too. They're my parents. It's hard not to ask his parents. How do you work through this? Because even though it's similar, it's also a little bit different at the same time. And all I can say for anybody that's in a relationship, you don't really know what you're doing. There's no guidebook. There's really not. The only thing that I can suggest is communication is so important. No matter what it is that you are considering that you would like to do in your relationship, you want to do with your partner, communication is so important. And your partner should respect that. They should respect the lines of communication that you want to open up. These dialogue that you want to have should be respected. And if they don't, this might not be the right partner for you. Because your partner should be that. They should be someone who engages in life with you and is active in every part of that life that you are living together. And so they should be receptive to these things. I often see with some heteronormative couples is that they sort of just sweep certain things under the rug and don't always have the most communication, because what if we don't like each other at the end of this conversation? What if we realize that we're not compatible? Well, then maybe we got to get divorced, and then we got to deal with the whole family drama, and then we got to figure out what to do with the kids. And so the stakes are higher, I think. And that might be why oftentimes there's less of that conversation, because if it goes south, if it goes sour, there's so many more risks involved. And the way that some people are kind of gross about that, like, you're a divorcee, you've been with someone else before. There's feelings, thoughts, emotions that come with that, nouns even. So it's one of those things I think that is difficult to navigate as a queer person trying to figure out love and romance, relationships, sex, all of these things that are just, they frankly are different between queer and straight couples. They frankly are. Even though they're similar in a lot of ways, they're very different. But all that to say, I really feel so blessed that throughout all of this, our 12 years we've been together, that he stuck by me. He's one of those people that is so supportive of me and my dreams, my desires, my needs, my wants, and I fully support him in everything that he wants to do. We've gone through so many periods of growth. We've gone through points where we weren't sure if we were going to make it through. And in the end of it, the thought was always, as long as we are together, we can get through anything. And that has always been such a great source of comfort for me, is that it really does feel like I'm navigating life with a partner. Is that it doesn't matter if we get into financial ruts. It doesn't matter if we get into emotional ruts. It doesn't matter what happens and what we have to go through. If we're doing it together, we'll be fine. And that, to me, is the most beautiful thing that you could ask for in any relationship. So, all in all, I'm very grateful that I have him and that he's in my corner. And I'm looking forward to even more. I reproposed, and I was very like, let's be heteronormative here and renew our vows at 10 years. And he said yes, and I was grateful because his whole family is there. And that would have been embarrassing if he was like, can we talk about this? It's been 12 years. I think maybe it's time to pack up. But yeah, so next year on our anniversary, we'll be renewing our vows somewhere. And I'm excited about that. We kind of started discussing some plans that we have. Nothing super solid as of right now, but some plans being discussed. But thank you so much for tuning in and listening. I'm really excited for this episode, and I hope that you enjoy it. I want to talk a little bit about this because we have not in a very long time. We did a trip to Japan together back in 2019.
Yes.
I tell everybody about this. I talk about it all the time.
Oh, it's
Just
changed my
the
life.
trip and you and our experiences together. It was
Yes.
incredible.
It was one of the most one of the most
Momentous.
momental moments of my
Momental.
of my monument life. It was so amazing. It literally, Jared, changed my life, and it was because I was there experiencing it with you. It was because I was there with Jacob, and there were moments where I was like on my own, and I gotta say, having that little independence in a country where, girl, they don't even speak a word. I couldn't say anything
Yeah.
other than some words in Spanish, you know. And we got by, girl,
Girl, did you
and
try to
it
order
was
anything in
amazing.
Spanish?
I sure did. Oh my God, you have no idea. I ordered ramen in Spanish, and I
Stop
got by.
it.
I mean, you say Tokyo in a Spanish accent, it may as well be Spanish.
Say it right
It
now.
sounds exactly
Say it
the
right
same.
now.
Tokyo, Tokyo,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hiroshima.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's an interesting
onegaishimasu.
thing. Is that Spanish and Japanese, what is it? What is the word?
They
Language
phonetically
wise,
sound the
phonetically.
same.
Thank you. Phonetically.
Yes,
I could not figure out what that freaking word was. It was gone. They phonetically sound almost identical. The
correct.
the letters are pronounced the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's for me when I was learning Japanese, a lot of the phonetics were really easy. Not because I knew Spanish really well, because my parents didn't let me learn it when I was a kid, but
Mm.
I studied it in high school and in junior high. So I kind of already had a little bit of an idea of how to speak Spanish. So when I learned Japanese, I'm like, this sounds exactly the same
Yeah. There
phonetically.
there's a famous cumbia song. I don't know about how famous it is, but it's called Bachata in Fukuoka. Okay? And we passed by a city named Fukuoka
Hmm.
while we were out there.
Hmm.
And sure enough, I showed my cousin who was cheering me on the whole time while we were out there.
Yeah.
So excited for me. And we both freaked out. It was just such a magical experience. Obviously, going there with two really good friends,
Yeah.
and having not a lot of people get this opportunity,
Right.
to do everything that we did.
Did you have a favorite moment from the whole thing?
Oh, girl, my favorite moment. I mean, there were so many.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was going to the concert.
Yes.
Genuinely, the concert was like something I'd never experienced before. And I flex on people when I say I've been to a concert in Japan. I flex because it's so hard, first
Yeah.
of all, to even like get a ticket.
Yeah. Aika
And
came through for us.
yeah,
She really
and
came
on
through.
top of that, a concert in a
Right
different
after with the
mm.
typhoon.
Oh yeah. Oh
Remember,
yeah, I
they
was
had to
worried
clear
about
out the
that.
track. We weren't even sure if we were going to be able to go.
Oh girl, I remember. It was gorgeous the day after though. I
It was
mean, so
so
sorry for all the
pretty.
people in the rain, but
I mean, we got it. So
beautiful.
there was a typhoon that hit in Tokyo, and we were in Osaka at the time, and we even got the rain. Do you remember when the sky turned purple?
Oh,
Girl, I
yes.
had never seen
Yes.
anything like that in my
Uh-uh.
entire existence. The
No.
storm
Like a
was maybe
cinematic
a
movie.
day before, and we were already starting to see the storm clouds, and we were quite a ways away from Tokyo. If you look
Yeah.
on a map, they're pretty far apart, Osaka, Tokyo.
Yeah.
And the whole sky just
Mm-hmm.
bright purple and orange like I had never seen before. I've never
Mm-hmm.
seen, and even in
No.
photos of that.
Yeah. It was like God put a filter on
Yeah,
right after the storm.
right
It was
before.
unreal.
It was right before. It was
Oh.
crazy.
Mm.
I need to tell you something though. Something I've never admitted. Not that I haven't admitted. I've told people before, but I've never told you. Um, the day that it rained really heavy when we were trapped in the apartment in Osaka,
Mm-hmm.
I went and I hooked up with somebody.
You
I
did?
did.
How was it?
Some of the
Oh
best sex
my
of my entire
God.
life. literally some of the best sex of my. Okay, I'm gonna just like go into a little bit of this. So this guy and I had been talking for a couple days before. As soon as we got into Osaka, he started messaging me because
Yes.
I popped up on Grinder, and he was really cute and very sweet. And we had just been kind of chit chatting, and I didn't think that there was going to be an opportunity to meet up because I'm like, we're really busy, and he was like maybe 2 miles away, so. I was like, I don't know if we'll be able to, but if it happens, then it does. And so then we got reined in, and I'm like, well, we're not going to be able to go anywhere because everything, for all of you listening, everything was closed. The restaurants were
Mm.
closed, stores were closed. There were a couple family marts that were still open. I remember I walked into one and I got a drink, but most everything was shut down. The trains were down, like we couldn't do anything. So I messaged him and I was like, yeah, maybe we could do something today. So he was like, oh, okay, I'm having lunch with my mom and I'll be back in like 2 hours. So we kind of just like hung out at the apartment all day. And then I messaged him and I said, hey, I can start like going over to you. He was going to call me a cab, but I didn't want to have to do that.
Oh,
I know, but it was going to be so
considerate.
expensive. So I just decided to walk because I wanted to explore Osaka anyway.
Yes,
So I
bitch.
just started walking around and I passed by all these beautiful places. I hung out outside his apartment for like 10 minutes while he and his mom talked in their car. And then he goes up and he invites me in, and this guy was like, "Are you hungry?" And
Mm.
went into his fridge and like got me a pudding cup and like got me a water bottle and put on Netflix and like made sure that my clothes weren't wet and like put some of my clothes up that were a little bit wet from the rain, and like
Mm.
he took a shower and then was like, "What's your favorite color?" I'm like, "What?"
Ah,
He goes, "What?" I'm like, "Purple." And he spoke enough English, and so he was like, "Okay." And then he had these LED lights that like changed his room color,
wow.
like lit the room purple, and like lit incense and asked me what my favorite scent was of the ones that he had. It was the most wonderful setup. It
Oh
was
my
great.
God.
Yeah. But no, I've never told you, but I totally went and hooked up with
No.
somebody.
I love that for you. I'm so happy for you. That must have been the best.
Oh, it was great. It
So
was great.
romantic, even.
It was very romantic, actually. It
Yeah.
was very romantic. So I think
Oh.
about that a lot. Think about that moment a lot. But I mean, that pizza that we got afterwards, because when
Oh,
I came
girl.
back, I passed by a Pizza Hut and they happened to be open, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, Pizza Hut. And that Hokkaido Gouda,
Oh my God.
mama, do you remember
I think about that pizza.
the way that cheese stretched?
Stop.
It
For
was
a
like a
mile.
movie. Yeah, for a mile. You pulled that cheese bread apart and it just had
Yes.
that perfect cartoon stretch that you never see in real life.
Very that. Very Goofy's movie pizza, you know?
Yes. Have you ever seen a pizza do that before in your life? Cuz I hadn't.
No.
Never.
And I
Bitch.
love Pizza Hut.
Yeah, well,
We're not sponsored though.
they were great over there.
Sponsor us.
Right?
But for real, that pizza was so good. All the food that we had. I kept going to Lawson's for their chicken, bro.
Yes.
I kept,
That
oh my
Lawson's
God.
chicken.
It was nonstop with that chicken. I couldn't help myself.
That little popcorn shrimp
So
chicken that you
good.
got in
Yes. Oh,
where was that? It was up north.
just the convenience stores
Oh
every
yeah,
time we
yeah.
would go, and it would be Lawson's specifically. And I'd
Yeah.
pick one up, tempted to pick up two, but then, they're gonna think I got a partner and I gotta advertise that I'm single, baby. I'm gonna just get one.
You officially got married in Japan.
Oh,
We were on
stop.
a train.
Oh my God.
We were on a train and
Yes.
this dude fell asleep on
Fully
Jasmine.
snoring.
Fully
I was
snoring.
looking so cute after Disneyland. Um, all the women on the train were giggling and and just staring at me. And I looked so cute. And this young, it wasn't young at all.
He was
This
old, he was like
man,
40.
yeah, easily pushing 40.
Low company
Business
man.
guy was just sitting on the subway train, fully knocked out, fully knocked out. Then starts to, I don't know, inch a little closer while sleeping, maybe sleepwalking, who knows, and sitting right next to me, and then slowly lolled his little head onto my cute little shoulders. No joke, maybe 40 to an hour. Was it not? The whole time. And Jer recording me And I'm over here like, oh my God, most action I've gotten all week. Oh, child, I'll
We
never
went through
forget.
like 15 stops and we
Yeah,
finally had to get off. And I'm like, damn, you got some action here in
I know. Could
Japan.
have been a moment. Could have been something so special, but I had to let him go. I had to. He was so comfortable too.
He really
So
was.
comfortable.
That was your Cinderella moment.
It really was. If only I knew his name, I'd call right after and find out what stop he stopped at. Mm.
I kept thinking, like, should we wake him up and let him know? Because what if he was supposed to get off somewhere and he just hadn't?
I
You
bet he
know?
does that to all the girls.
Oh my God. That was such a great trip.
Yes.
That was
Yeah,
such a
it
great
really
trip.
was. I want to go back and I want to go back with you.
I know. I really
Yeah.
want to do just an entire week in Osaka because
Oh,
it was beautiful over there.
we could have lived there. Remember when I I don't know if it was me, it had to have been, but the minute that we got to the apartment in Osaka, I mean, no joke, next door, as we were looking for some grocery store or
Hmm.
like a convenience store, there was the omurice shop
Yes,
right
yes,
there.
yes.
Ugh,
I had been grumbling. I was so grumpy that day. I was
yeah.
starving.
So much traveling.
Oh my God. I think, how long was the Shinkansen? Was that like 2.5 hours that we were on that train?
Easily.
Yeah, and we
Easily.
hadn't eaten when we got up because we didn't have
Mm-mm.
time. And I was grumpy and I was angry, and Jake was stressed from traveling. And I think you were tired from getting up.
Oh
And I
yeah.
was being snippy. I know I was. And I'm
Oh
like,
no.
I remember being snippy. I'm glad you didn't
I was
interpret
just
it that
happy to
way.
be there.
I was so grumpy, and Jake, every time you would walk away to like go do something or look at something or go to the bathroom, whatever, Jake would be like, "Stop it! You're being so unpleasant right now, and we have a friend
Oh.
here with us." And I'm like, "I'm not. I'm hungry." And he's like, "We'll eat when we get there." And we finally got there, and I had been wanting omurice for like the whole
Hmm.
week. We could not find it anywhere, and there was that shop,
Yeah.
this perfect, like God had
Yeah.
sent it down
Not
to
2 minutes away.
right 2 minutes away. We went there 3 times, right?
Oh yeah, and there was a mural and it was so, I mean, I don't know if by the time we got there it had been raining as well.
It had
It
been.
was
It
it
was
had
light
been.
rain.
So it was miserable traveling, carrying all our suitcases through the bullet train. And I
Yes.
can imagine, of course, you might be snippy. Me skipping around, you know, sure. And to find this God sent restaurant right in
Yes.
front of us was such a
It
relief.
was
And the
incredible.
food was so
It
good.
was so delicious. So picture this. There's this big blue wall, and on it is this omelet that's got ketchup kind of drizzled on top in like an S
Mm.
shape. So omurice, for anyone who does not know, is a Japanese omelet rice. It's a composite word. So omu, omelet, rice, right? So it's you'll take whatever vegetables you want, if you want vegetables at all. I like in my omurice, I like onions and mushroom, maybe a little ham, some
Mm.
cheese sprinkled in there if you do like the shredded kind so that it melts really evenly through the whole thing. But I know a lot of Japanese people like to do the cube, and they'll sort of melt it right in the middle so that when you break in, it'll kind of bust up. So you take all that
Mm.
and you saute it, and then you have your rice that's already in a rice cooker, and you'll take a big scoop of that and you'll drop it in the vegetables. So then you get all these delicious veggie flavors that infuse into the rice. And you'll take typically like a teaspoon of ketchup and put that in there and cook it all
Oh
up.
yeah.
Maybe some soy sauce if you want to get a little frisky. And all of these flavors meld into this savory and sweet, delicious concoction because of the ketchup. And this is like a school kids meal, but
Oh
adults
yeah.
freaking turn up to it. It's like our grilled cheese. I think.
Very that.
I think it's that
Yes.
because like grilled cheese is typically made for kids. Omurice is typically made for kids and families. But as you get older, you're like, damn, that meal was good when I was a kid. I'm gonna make it again.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't see it a lot in shops because it's like a homemade thing. But this was a mom and pop store that did
Oh,
everything. They had a regular classic one. They had the deluxe, which didn't taste much different from the classic. They had a red one, which what did that have like tomato in it or
it
something?
had to have.
Or maybe extra
Yeah.
ketchup, but
Yes.
even the egg was red. They
Oh,
had a
wow.
green one that was spinach, and I think maybe me or Jake tried the green one, and the egg was green too, and they had the black one, which I had, and that was so good.
That
It
was the
had
demi-glace sauce,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, and it had black
Oh,
garlic in it too.
oh my God.
So
Oh
not
my
only
God.
did it have all these delicious flavors, but then that black garlic, which is kind
Mm-hmm.
of like fermented garlic, it just
Yes.
had such a strong taste to it. It was the most delicious egg
Mm-hmm.
meal I had ever had in my life.
The way that the egg is cooked too is so spectacular. I
Almost
mean,
like a crepe,
it's
right?
such a gorgeous omelet that they drape
Yeah.
over the rice, and then it just spills over. It's an elevated omelet. I mean, I don't know how else to describe how delicious it really was. You
It
just got to
really
make it
was.
yourself, you know? So nice.
And it's so easy to make at home too. You don't even
Oh
need to
yeah.
go to a restaurant or anything. If you have rice and vegetables and eggs, you could make it. It's
Mm-hmm.
so good. We make it whenever we can because I turn
Mm-hmm.
up to Oma rice. I turn
Oh
up
yes,
to
I
it.
add bacon in mine.
Oh, that's right. That was the deluxe one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh,
So good. I
God.
miss that omurice. Ugh,
Yeah, we went there 3 times. That was the only place we visited restaurant
over and
wise
over.
multiple times because it was that good. It
Yes.
was that good.
And so convenient. So
Ugh,
convenient.
yeah,
Lucky. I mean, a jackspot of a place.
it was so good.
Jackspot?
Jack Spot.
It's fine. I speak English, everybody.
that
It's
that
okay.
Burger King in Osaka was good too.
All the places we went to was
Yeah,
really great.
I could legit talk about food all day with you.
Oh, are you kidding me?
I
Of
could legit
course.
talk about it all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I
I'm,
love it.
I mean, that trip was just like you said. It was so great because I got to spend it with you. I think if
Hmm.
obviously Jake and I would have had a great time on our own, but the fact that we got to
Oh
share
yeah.
that with you, and then
Oh
we got to have that with you,
yeah.
that made it so much better.
I'm so grateful that you guys even allowed me to tag along, and that's exactly what I did was tag along and went for the ride. It was beyond probably best trip I've ever had in my life. It so planned out, so meticulously
Oh, I'm
planned
crazy.
out. I might as well have been on a tour.
Yeah.
It was so good.
How do you
Each
like to
everywhere.
vacation usually?
Say it again.
How do you like to vacation usually? Since we're talking about that.
I'm so used to going with the flow where
Mm,
if it's been tough because I can't really say I've been on a trip by myself yet, except
mm,
for a time that I went to El Salvador. That's where my family's from,
mm.
you know. And there, my family plans it out for me. I'm very much the go along with the flow and tag along.
That makes
So
sense.
as much as I want to plan things out, I do understand that it takes away from people's time and there's only certain things that I really want to do and I make a point of that. And if I do that, I make it one day out of the entire trip.
That
You know,
makes sense.
and if I hit that one day, I'm set. We can just be at home and spending time together, even in a different country. I'd be
Yeah.
more than happy because my experience is to be there with you,
Mm,
you know,
right.
and I'm here to be there having this shared experience with the person that I'm traveling with,
Yeah.
you know. So, doing everything that we did in Japan, especially since you planned it out so well, was I mean, genuinely, I would have been happy just sitting in a house and going out every once in a while. Doing everything that we did just took it to a complete other level
Yeah.
that I'm so grateful for.
That's
So
Jake's
grateful
ideal
for.
vacation is like sitting in a place and just sort of relaxing, going out every once in a while. That's
Yeah.
like his ideal thing. I'm anal retentive about that stuff. I'm like,
Mm,
on Monday at 10 o'clock, we're going to wake up and get food. At 12, we're going to
yes.
do this. I'm like very tour guide with it.
Yeah.
When I
But you
travel,
need you need a balance like that. You
yeah.
absolutely need someone like that in your life. It's very much uh maybe I'm not saying this right, but the lobster theory, have you heard about that?
No, tell me, what is
So
this?
it's when there's two partners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And partner A hates lobster, but partner B loves lobster. So they go to a restaurant, they order a dish, and something happens to have lobster in it. Well, person B will have
Oh,
it, but person A will be appreciative that person B is going to have, you know what I mean? You have to have that balance of someone being almost a complete opposite. It's just that's where it really meshes really well. So I'm so glad Jake is the type to it keeps you grounded. I don't
yeah.
know how else to say,
Yeah, no,
you know.
I think I know what you're talking about. I know it
Yes.
from a really hetero reference, so please don't judge me for this, and I know you won't, but please don't judge me.
No.
What is it? How I Met Your Mother? There's the
Uh-huh.
olive theory in that
That's
show.
oh, and bitch, I said lobster.
I mean, hey, listen, lobster, olive, I, it's two to tango, 1 + 1 = pi,
Yeah,
so,
they
you
go
know,
hand in hand.
right,
Yeah.
they're all the
But
same.
olive theory, that's exactly what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking about.
So it's like the idea
Oh,
is that in a relationship that there's sort of a give and take that
yeah.
if one person can't really take the burden of one task, the other person will sort of pick that up. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
a really nice yin yang thing. Yeah, Jake and
Yes.
I are really good about that. And we were just talking about that the other night. Is he went on vacation? He was, or I guess it was kind of a vacation. He went on like a vacation slash business trip. It was like for his birthday. He went to a con. He printed out business cards, and it was a really good
Mm-hmm.
opportunity for him. And
Mm.
he was sort of telling people like, I'm worried about Jer because when I leave, they aren't really good about taking care of themselves, da da da. And I mean, sure, that there is a little bit of the truth in that. Is that when he's not around, I sort of pull back a little bit because I'm like, well, I don't need to really. I know my body. I know if I don't need to eat, I'll be fine. But he'll make sure that I eat because he doesn't want me to go to the place where I was before we met, where I was like not eating ever. And he like worries about that, that I'm gonna kind of go back to old eating habits, which I
Mm.
super appreciate that he looks out for me like that. But I can self care. I know how to take care of myself. But I usually will sort of let him take the reins because he's a very A type personality. And I am a B type personality that can be A type. So when
Mm-hmm.
I sort of let him take the lead on things, because we'll just be butting heads all the time if I try and step up, you know? So, like,
Yeah.
we sort of, I recognize that, and he recognizes the times where I kind of need to be in that lead role. And it's
Yeah.
like a yin yang
Yes.
balance thing.
Just such a nice balance of a relationship that you guys share.
Yeah.
And I feel like that carried on to the trip, girl.
Yeah.
Truly. And it was
Fully.
so good to be able to observe and genuinely experience everything with y'all. I mean, I remember you being so concerned about, hey, like, are you sure this is what you want to go? Are you okay with me doing this before we were planning the trip? And I was saying,
Mm
please. I mean, please.
Be
I'm
tour
just
guide
thankful that we get
Barbie.
to do it together, you know. And it's really something that I'll never forget. It when I say it changed my life, it truly did.
Yeah.
Everyone around me saw how different I was the minute that I came back and how it just opened. I don't know, going to another country outside of America, girl. I mean, truly opens your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It opens your perspective on the
very
world
much
and
so.
your impact on it. And I think also for me, visiting a country like Japan where everyone is so mindful of each other, nobody's really doing things very selfishly. Here in the US, we see that very
Mm-mm.
heavily. There's that individualism that everybody's just doing what they're doing. They don't
Mm-hmm.
really think about how it's affecting others. But being in a country where everyone's so mindful of each other that you see an elderly person come on the train and you get your butt up to offer
Oh
your
yeah.
seat down, and if they say no, then you can sit back, or if you see someone who's pregnant, that you let them take your spot, or you see somebody's kind of in a hurry, so you move out of the way, and everybody's kind of keeping an eye out. It really just opens up your mind to your impact and the space that you're in, even if others aren't doing it here in the States.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That made me think about that both times that I went.
Mm-hmm. It definitely made me more considerate of others, that's for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And take into mind what other people are doing while I'm out in the world breathing their air. You know what I'm saying? So,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
definitely
Do you
changed my
remember?
perspective.
You probably don't remember this, but you just said this, and so it's reminding me. Years ago, we were talking about someone that we didn't like. I don't remember who it was, and you said, "Bitch, don't even breathe the air that I'm breathing.
Don't even look where I'm
Don't
looking,
even
bitch.
look in my direction.
That's
Don't
right.
breathe in my direction." I
Period.
think about that, and I say it all the time. I've snatched that from you.
Considered it copied, girl.
Consider it stolen.
I
Oh
can't.
my God. I think about that all the time. You have no idea.
Oh, yeah, but
It's so funny.
how dare you take up my space? This is my space. I mean, be gone, girl. Oh my gosh. But self-awareness,
Yeah.
self-awareness is so prevalent there. I mean, we literally carried a tiny little plastic bag to throw our trash away
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because there's no way I'm gonna be dumping trash somewhere else. Even tiny little candy packages.
Yeah.
You carry a little trash bag in your purse and you keep that shit to yourself, girl.
You know, that was what was wild, is that there's hardly any trash cans anywhere.
Oh, I know. I know. I remember when you first told me, I'm like, no, there's one or two.
Right.
None. None.
Nowhere. Like at
None.
the train stations, maybe you'll find one, but the idea of holding on to things that you might need to
Mm,
throw away is such a foreign concept there.
yeah.
Even eating while walking, that's considered
Oh,
super disrespectful.
you get pointed out as a tourist right away.
Right.
Right away.
Right.
But that's something Americans do all the time. All the time. I mean, there's a Starbucks inside a Target for a reason, so we can drink and shop at the same time.
Exactly. And that's like not a thing. That's not a thing there. At the
No.
restaurants, there's trash cans, and outside the little stalls, they'll have a little can that you can throw stuff in because they're responsible for those. But I remember we were leaving the 7-Eleven, and
Mhm.
we were gonna keep walking. I think we were in Akihabara, and I was like, okay, we got to eat our food here though. And you were like, can't we just like kind of walk and and do our thing? And I was like, no, they'll get mad at us.
Yeah.
They'll look at us.
And you were so right for that.
And we like snacked outside the 7-Eleven and threw our stuff away and we moved on with our day. But yeah, like you don't see people eating while walking. And I remember I asked the first time we went, I asked my friend Aika if I could walk and eat at the same time because I heard that it was disrespectful. And she was like, you can. I
Ah,
took her very long pause as
yes.
you shouldn't, but I'm
Hmm.
not gonna tell you that you can't, but you
How can I say
probably
this
should. Right.
nicely? That was a stupid question.
Right. Just the longest. I use that all the time.
Yes.
Jake and I freaking do that constantly. If if I'll say something to him that is something that he doesn't think I should do or that he doesn't think is funny, I'll be like, "Do you think this is a funny joke?" He'll just go, and he won't say anything else. And I'm like, "Okay, noted. Moving on. Throwing that out."
Right. Will it give
Never,
you the side eye? Side eye.
all the time, bitch. All the time. It's
Oh my
so
gosh.
funny. It's so
Yeah.
funny.
Oh,
And I love that.
me too. Yeah. It was so amazing. I think about it all the time. I talk about Japan and going with you, and I just want to go again. Have
Yeah.
it all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was such a great experience that we had, and I'm glad that we could share it together, and I'm glad that we have so many of these memories that are ours, that
Yes.
we get to hold on to those, and that's like such a critical part of our friendship, I think. Not
I
critical,
agree.
a pivotal part.
Special. Hmm.
Yeah. Really,
Yeah.
really, really special. I've never shared a trip with anybody that's non-family before.
Oh,
Never.
and I mean, Jared, so many friendships break up after trips because
True.
you really learn about the person during that trip, how they really are, true
Yes.
nature. And it just made for me, it made our friendship even closer and better.
Yeah. Well, living with people too.
Oh, tell me about it.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Mm.
Have you ever lived with anybody besides your family before?
Yes.
How how was that for you? Because
Yes.
we had a I had a really good friend who used to live with us, and we were friends before. And maybe like 1 month into living together, I thought, oh shoot, this is not going to be good long term. One, two, I think we might not be friends after this anymore.
Oh, that's exactly how it went for me.
Really?
Our friendship, I mean, we don't talk. And she was my friend, um, gosh, for at least a decade, if not longer. She was my childhood friend.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I think about her from time to time. Um, I she lived with us because her parents had recently divorced and
Mm,
she was like, "Fuck you, mom and dad.
got
I'm
it.
moving out." And we give her a place to stay. I mean, it lasted 6 months to maybe 8.
Wow.
And on the last day, she packed up her shit and didn't say a word and just left,
And left.
practically in the middle of the night.
Damn.
Yeah, it was awful. My parents were shocked because they had known her for so long.
Yeah.
They didn't understand why. And don't get me wrong, I understand it's not your home,
Right.
even though you're living there. But my parents treated her as if she was
A part of the
another
family.
a part of the yes, and
Mm,
not a thank you. We don't expect one, but
mm,
come on,
right.
girl, something,
Something.
um, anything at all. And we were not the type to, well, you pay rent and you live here. No,
Yeah.
it might as well have been a 6 to 8 month long sleepover,
Damn.
and it treated us
Mm,
like a hotel. And I would see how she would leave the room and leave my bathroom, and like it's hard living with people.
yeah.
I've known her for from middle school and up, and yeah.
Oh my
uh
God. That's crazy.
yeah,
That's
I
crazy.
didn't know she lived like that.
Yeah.
Didn't know it was gonna be like that,
Yeah.
you know.
I feel
um
like when you live with
yeah.
somebody, you start to see all these hidden things about them, and it's so wild how that switch flips so
Hmm.
quick. Of we were super close, but now I just can't. The illusion is shattered. There's
Absolutely.
there's I think levels to a friendship, and it's okay that some of them only are surface level. And I'm a big proponent of believing that people come in and out of your lives through seasons, and
Yeah.
sometimes people
Yeah.
don't stick around, and that's okay. And I've learned to become more okay with that as I've gotten older, as friendships have gone away and moved on. I've become a lot more comfortable with that. But initially, those are devastating when those broke up.
Oh
When
yeah.
my friend who I lived with, when he moved out and we had our fight, we didn't talk for like years. And I mean, even then, we didn't really talk afterwards. We never brought it up again. We were sort of just like, hey, good to see you again. Hope you're doing well. And that was kind of it. But I was
Wow.
devastated when that happened, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's wild. And if I'm being honest and vulnerable here on the pod, I was a little bit worried that after our Japan trip that we wouldn't talk again. I was a little
Oh,
bit worried.
really?
Did you have that worry at all? Like,
Not
we're
at
gonna be
all.
living together for a couple weeks. Like, what if
Yeah.
we live together and we hate each other? Because I think you find out within like a day. I think some people are like, oh, after time, I just realized that they weren't for me, like a roommate or a
Yeah.
partner, whatever. After living with them, you know so much faster than that. You know within
Yeah.
hours of living with somebody if it's gonna
Yeah.
work out long term. Your energy just either resonates or it doesn't. And before the trip, I was worried. I'm like, I might lose this friend forever.
Oh,
I was really worried.
you know what I will say? Okay, so after the trip, I felt like it solidified our friendship for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Put it
yeah.
in stone. Before, was I not always asking, "Are you sure? Are you sure this is
Yeah, yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Like this is the only thing." I wanted to be as considerate as possible
Yeah.
because of that fear.
Yeah.
Because you were such a good friend, and you are such a good friend. Let me change that verbiage, you know.
I'm
Um,
not anymore. You suck now, Jer, and I hate you. I came onto this podcast to tell you that I want you to shart.
bitch,
Just
this
projectile
truth has been
shart.
revealed to me now. But I was yeah, the fear of, oh my gosh, what if I'm gonna be the problem?
Mm,
I have to make myself as small as possible, as compact as possible to fit into
mm.
this suitcase. So we can just go on this trip. And I wanted it to be as if I was almost not even there. That's how easy I was hoping it
Mm.
would be. And I thought it was.
Yeah.
I think it was. Um, I felt like I tried, even though it was only maybe a day or two where I really left you out on your own, because it
Hmm.
went 14 days is a long time
Yeah.
to be spending with someone. So you guys were great. I really didn't feel any sort of tension, not even
Yeah.
when we were um, a wall separated between us, you
Yeah.
know. But the fear of losing
Definitely.
this friend before, even me intruding on saying, "Can I come with you to Japan?" was such a big thing. Buying the ticket was such a huge thing. I kept going back and forth. I go, I really don't know if this is gonna like be a problem. I can't believe I put him on the spot and just asked. What were your thoughts when I first asked you if I can join? Because I literally jumped up and put my hand right up in the air and was like, "Pick me, please. I'd love to go. Please. I
I
mean,
think,
I want to go." What were your thoughts?
I
It
mean,
must have been an intrusion.
I think when you brought it up, I think you were like entirely joking. Like, oh, damn, I
Yeah.
would love to go with you. And then I thought about it and I remember I was like, I mean, why not? Why couldn't you?
Ah,
And so I like it.
yeah.
It wasn't even, there was no
For
hesitation.
real?
Yeah.
Wasn't even a thought in your mind that it was like, no, it's a trip for me and Jake,
I mean,
not for,
when you brought it up, and I mean, again, you were like entirely joking. I think
yeah.
I
I
wasn't
didn't
thinking
think you were going to
anything.
take me serious. And the minute that you did,
No, this
I,
crazy girl,
yes,
never.
so good. I dropped everything. I planned out this whole, like, okay, I'm not going to call out for 3 months. I'm going to save every penny that I could to
Yeah,
go with you. And it was so worth it.
yeah,
So worth
it
it.
really
So glad I
was.
didn't. So glad I made good on that joke. The longest running joke we've had. You know? So,
Yes, it's true. So on that, and to kind of segue from that, since we're talking about living with people, and I don't mean to call you out. You're
mm.
still single, right?
Oh, yes, girl.
Do you think that you could
Yes.
ever live with somebody long term? Are you one of those girlies that you're like, I could live on my own forever and I'd be okay? Because there are some people that want to be in relationships or maybe like very casual relationships, but don't want to do the whole we're married and we're house husband wifing thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that in your
There,
horizon or no?
I feel like at this point in my life, okay, y'all, I'm 28. Okay.
That's
I
not that
know
old.
that's still, I
You're a
know
baby.
it's really not enough to have life experience, right? Brain finally finished developing. So I think this is the brain I'm going to be having for the rest of my life. And I'm trying to accept that, listen, I have to I have to put me first. I
Yeah,
got to love myself first
yeah,
before I can even think about having another person into this mess, into my
fully.
life, you know? And I'm not trying to meet your family. I'm not trying to meet your mom and your sister and your dad. I
Yeah,
gotta, you gotta meet my family first.
yeah,
You know, it's tough. I won't even dip my toes in the pool. Is
really.
how and it's Jer. I mean, we're about to go into therapy session here. It's definitely because of past experiences that
Right,
I've
right, right.
had. Um, I've never been in a real relationship. Never, never. And I don't know if it's the vibes that I put off. I used to really put pressure on myself in my early like 20s when I was a
Mm.
teenager. I'm like, how come this is like year 5, no Valentine's, you know? And I'm going on like year 15 when I first realized, oh shit, yeah, okay. Well, if no one's gonna be my Valentine, I'm gonna be my own fucking
Yeah.
Valentine.
Be your own Valentine.
Yes, And I'm a big believer in, if you're not ready for it, then you have to be okay with it until you are ready for it. And for
Yeah.
me, I get afraid that I'm gonna lose myself in a relationship. I
Ooh, yeah.
and I'm so tied to who I am as a person
Mm,
and what I want and what I need. And I'm still discovering those things. And until I have a concrete vision, then I can't even picture marriage and moving in with each other.
yeah.
And like we talked about before, it's so hard to live with someone. And those tiny
It really
nuances,
is.
the minute that I get the ick, it's done.
Yeah, it's
You know,
over.
it's really done. And I just can't play around,
No.
you know. And
And
I know that
singleness
that
is really underrated, I think. I
singleness.
Singleness is really
Oh,
underrated.
I know. Anybody that's in a relationship wants to be single because they miss that life, and anybody
Yeah.
who's single wants to be in a relationship. Grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah.
Me, I'm Switzerland. I see neutral. I see neutral. I hear so many horror stories from friends that are in
Mm.
relationships, and then I think about myself, and I'm like, "Phew, thank fucking God. Thank God I'm on my own here, and I have my own time, and I get to do my own thing, and I have my own choice to fuck around or to not,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm very happy and I'm very grateful for that. Now, if the right person were to come along, I gotta be secure and know.
Yeah.
I really have to know. And it's so hard to discern, how am I gonna know when I've never even been through it,
Yeah.
you know? I've had heartbreak, don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, plenty of
Yeah.
heartbreak. But I think it's been enough heartbreak for me to learn, oh, bitch, I can't just settle
Yeah.
and think that this is gonna be fine, you know?
Yeah.
The only person who can live my life is me. So
Yes.
I gotta live it for
Yes.
me.
Bitch, thank you. Yes. That
Yes,
is for everybody out there. Your life is yours, you
that's
know?
right.
And I think there are some people who they need somebody to complete them. They need their puzzle piece. And there are some people who they're a complete set on their own.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
come in, you're an accoutrement to that set, you know? You are an
Fancy
addition
word.
to a fancy word. I busted out the dictionary before this.
I love that.
I feel like you're one of those girlies that if somebody were to come in your life, whoever they were, it's like you're walking with me. You
Uh-huh.
are not going to drive the car. We're doing
No.
you're stepping into my lane to join me in this journey. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. I think for me, and I mean our relationship is that Jake is definitely one of those people like you. I think
Mm,
he's always been the type of person that is like, if you are gonna date me, if you're gonna be with me long term, you're walking with me. And I'm very much the type of person that I'm like, I want that extra puzzle piece, you know?
mm-hmm.
I'm very much that type of person. So the way that I think our relationship started and the way that our relationship has grown has sort of been identifying that that's what our need in a relationship is, and he's done what he's needed to do to sort of fit that, and I do my best to also fit into that what he needs. And I think it's okay that there are some people that are like, I'm gonna be single as long as I need to. If I need
Mm-hmm.
to be single until I'm in my 40s, I'll do it, because I'm not just gonna settle for some bitch who comes in and be
No.
like, oh yeah, let me change my whole life around to
Mm.
adjust for you. So a
And
lot of people do
compromise
that.
my happiness.
Yeah, a lot
No.
of people do that. And that's why
Yes.
I think so many people, and I don't want to say a specific demographic, but there's a demographic in my head of people that get married like at 18, 19 years old because they're their
Oh,
childhood sweetheart and they
yeah.
hate the person they're living with for
Yeah.
years. I'm going to specifically call out my parents. My mom told me when I was like 19, when I was doing therapy, whatever, she was like, when I married your dad, I didn't even like him for 20 years. I didn't even love him for 20 years. It wasn't until recently that I decided that I was going to love him. And like, lady,
I
why
know.
would you be unhappy for that long?
All those years.
All those years. And there are a lot of
Yeah.
people who do that. They get in relationships
Yeah.
and they're not happy.
My parents have been married for over 45 years now. They're both 69.
Hey,
Work.
yo.
They got married at in their early 20s,
Mm,
and that's the norm
yeah,
back
yeah,
then, right? But gosh, it's been a tough road. I'm glad that they are where they're at now. After being married for so long and being with your person for so long, it ends up being, for me anyway, from my perspective, from being a relationship marriage to just a complete partnership. This is just
yes,
your partner. This
yeah,
is your right hand man, sure.
yeah,
And not even always. Sometimes those kinds of relationships are just lying to each other and remaining in that comfortability that,
yeah.
oh, I go home to you every day. So,
You're the best thing that I could get, so I guess I'll just stay here.
uh-huh.
A lot of people do that, and
So many.
I refer exclusively as to Jacob as my partner. Whenever
Yeah.
people ask, about my relationship status or whatever, I always just refer to Jake as my partner. Legally, he's my spouse, and legally, I'm his
Mm,
spouse. And he refers to me the same way. But like in my head, this is my life partner.
yeah.
This is not somebody that I just settled with because it was convenient. And I kind of knew very early, which is why we got married young. I knew early, and I always ask him, I'm like, did you know? And he was like, I wasn't really looking for anybody. I'm like, great. I'm glad I could just sort of impose myself into this situation. But
Yeah.
like, I knew very early. I'm like, this is the one. This is the one that I want to go through all the hard stuff with. This is the one I want to go through all the good stuff with, and I want to share all that. And recently we had a situation where, without going into all the specifics, there was something that happened that really hurt my feelings, and Jake went and did something on his own to sort of correct the person who did hurt my feelings, and he came back and told me about it, and I'm like, thanks for having my back on that. And
Yeah.
it was like not anything he had to do, but just knowing that he was in my corner and that he was there for me when he didn't have to, because I didn't ask him to do anything. The fact that he was there and did all that, that was, I don't know, it was like one of those cheesy, cool
Yeah.
things that's hard to explain.
Thoughtful.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
person thinks about me and is considerate of me and
Yeah.
knows who I am and accepts me for who I am.
Right.
And the fact that they're there, in Spanish, apoyándome, like just giving me all this support,
Yeah.
is so meaningful. Very
Absolutely.
beautiful. Yes. And it's
Absolutely.
wonderful to find. I'm so happy that you found someone like that.
Yeah. But I
Oh,
think you have that symbiotic relationship with yourself, which is also really beautiful.
oh,
You
thank you.
mentioned last week when we were chatting that sometimes you'll just go to restaurants alone, and you were
Oh, yeah.
mentioning like you'll see like old people like sitting alone, and people are like, oh, that poor old person all by themselves, and you're like, bitch, they're
Hmm.
probably so happy they're living their best life right now.
That's right. No one to talk to, just you and your own thought. You have to be very comfortable with yourself, obviously, to do that.
Yeah,
And I definitely am.
yeah,
I'm there to eat for me. It's a date with me, and who better to go on a date with?
yeah. Tying this
Um,
all back, do you remember when
yeah.
do you remember there was that day in Osaka where you were like, do you mind if I go out on my own? Like, is it okay if I go do my own
Yes.
thing? And you went and explored Kamiranemon, I think is what it was, that
Yes.
that little shopping district. And we were like,
The
yeah,
entire day.
do your thing. And even at Disney, you were like, is it okay if I kind of like go and explore on my own? Because I know y'all have things you want to do. Is it okay if I do that? And you were totally comfortable just experiencing things on your own.
Yes. Yes.
And that's so
Because, like I
cool.
said, the only person who can live your life is you.
Yeah.
And you can't wait for others. You got to do it for you.
Yeah.
I love that. Definitely being comfortable by yourself is so important, and learning to have that type of individuality
Mm,
is so important as well.
yeah.
And listen, I mean, if someone comes along and appreciates that, then by all means, join my party,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah, yeah,
know,
yeah.
by all means. So,
I think that's
mm,
something I really admire about you is that you're so comfortable in your singleness and you're so embracing of that and you are living your life for you. There's some people who are single who are like, I just want to be in a relationship
uh,
because they think they need that.
I
They
know
think they
it
have
becomes
to
their
have it.
entire identity.
Right.
I
That
had
being
to
single is a
unlearn
negative.
that.
Oh, did you?
So much. Well, yes, because when I was younger, like I said, early teens, 20s, I put a lot of pressure on myself thinking I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. And then I
Mm,
changed my thinking into, well, what's wrong with that? Listen, if I get a pimple on my face, I'm going to be the one who feels it. If my knee hurts, I'm going to be the one that feels it.
yes.
If I feel happy about something, I'm the one who feels it.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's just a matter of changing the words that you say
Mm,
where you're okay, accepting you first. It
yeah.
sounds so selfish. I don't,
No, it sounds it, but it's not. That's
yeah,
the thing. It's not selfish.
no,
You
no.
get this life one time. You don't get to do it again.
Right, right.
And you have to live it for you first and foremost. It's that
Yeah,
silly oxygen mask thing that they always say in airplanes. If the plane goes into descent and we lose oxygen, make sure to put your mask on before you help somebody else.
yeah, yeah.
It's that.
I
It's
hold
very
true.
that.
I'm getting that tattooed on my arm next week.
Are you really?
No.
I was like, bitch, that'd be so
I wish I
fierce.
should.
Get an
Oh my
oxygen
gosh.
mask. But yeah, getting up to a wrap up place here. I want to say again, that's what I've always really admired about you is that
Oh,
you you love yourself. And it's so
yeah.
evident that you do with everything you
Oh,
do. And I love that about you.
oh. It's come through a lot of learning and a
Yeah.
lot of accepting my flaws and understanding that this is what I am and who I am and
Yeah.
take it or leave it. Take it or
Yes.
leave it,
And if they
you know.
can't take you where you're at right now, they don't deserve any of the other stuff. Because
That's right.
why should you allow someone into your life who doesn't want to be there during the struggle? If they only want
Uh,
to be there for the good stuff,
yeah.
that's not a real relationship. And even taking us all the way back to living with other people, sometimes we're really good friends with people because we like that surface level thing, but they can't handle us or we can't handle them at these like dark parts that are there. And that's okay. That's okay that we don't always have that symbiotic relationship, but sometimes we just don't. We don't deserve that. We don't deserve someone who only
No.
wants the good stuff, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some surface level friendships are fine. Surface level relationships are cool. They're chill.
They're
They're
great. They're
great.
in and out,
Exactly.
you know.
Yeah.
They're drive-throughs, but sometimes you want to sit at a sit-down restaurant.
Right. And if you're going to set up shop with someone and be with somebody forever,
Yeah.
they got to like every single part of you or at least
Hmm.
accept it and
That's
willing to
right.
be there,
The
you know?
good, the bad, and the ugly, girl. The entire chimichanga, you know what I'm saying?
The chimichanga. Waking up, you got the little crusty crusts on your eye and on the lips from when you've been drooling on yourself.
When
They
you
gotta
wake up,
accept all
you
that.
better kiss me, you know what I'm saying? If I
Please.
do it for you, you do it for me.
Right?
Yeah.
But thank you so much for being here and
Oh,
chatting with me and talking about all this. This has been really fun, and I've been in.
yes.
I could
I
literally talk to you for hours. You
I
know
know. I
this.
can't wait to do it again, Jared. Thanks for having
Yes,
me.
let's do this again, for
Yes.
sure.
Okay, well, stay tuned.
Yeah, and thank you all so much for listening. Remember that you are very loved. You are doing a fantastic job, and you are doing the best that you can, and that is all that you can do. Have a fantastic week, and I will talk to you very soon. Goodbye.
Bye.